r/AskReddit. Serious, what's the worst butterfly effect that you've set off, whether on purpose or on accident? In 1971 I was in the pub with a bunch of friends talking about the following year's Olympic Games to be held in Munich. Someone suggested we should go to the Oktoberfest beer festival, and eventually 4 of us booked the holiday. Drank our own weight in beer and came home with a lot of stories. A young guy who had just started coming into the pub listened to all the stories and a couple of years later went to Munich to see it for himself. Fell in love with German culture, cuisine and the ambience of the place. 20 years later, after the failure of his marriage, he went to live in Germany. Hooked up with a Fräulein, and I used to visit him every year until he was killed in a car crash in 1998. And I still sometimes wonder about the effect of that first trip to Munich. Pressured a guy in his 50s to do an assault course race so I could get a $10 discount. If we had 5 people it is cheaper. He eventually gave in, made it to the 5th mile, slipped and tore his cruciate ligament. He couldn't work, so stayed at home with his wife. He started arguing with her a lot. So much they decided to separate and get divorced. He moved out. His adult children hated him and he rented a house from a mutual friend. A few months later our mutual friend calls me to let me know that 50s guy had poorly screenshotted mutual friends' photos from Facebook and used them as his own on Tinder. All well and good, except he was a 5'2", 50-year-old Latino guy. Mutual friend was 6 foot 30-year-old white guy. Usually my mutual friend wouldn't be that bothered. Except he found out from his wife as one of her friends saw his photo on Tinder. But with Latino guy's name instead. They were also about to get married, so both were really angry. Mutual friend tried to ring Latino guy. Latino guy hung up when he realized he was busted. Long story short, my mutual friend evicted him. Yeah, my bad. Whoa, $10. I wouldn't blame yourself. Pressuring someone for the $10 discount is one thing. But the state of his household is absolutely not your responsibility to consider when inviting him somewhere. One night I decided to get drunk instead of studying in college. Went out with a few friends who I convinced to go out with us. One friend meets a girl that he ends up falling in love with. So he moves out of my buddy's apartment, leaving a spot open the next year that they need to have subleased. Ends up being a girl who wants to get in this apartment. I see her a lot since she lives with my buddies. I start dating her. It leads to the worst, most destructive, manipulative 2 years of my life, where she leaves me 2 months before the wedding for another man and took all my money. Had to move back home and start my life over, living with my parents. All because I wanted to get drinks one night. Just be glad you got out before you got married. I sent my wife's lover's chat log and hotel receipts to his mother. Thanks Facebook, they live 2,000 miles from us, and after doing some digging into him, when I found out, I realized that his mother was supporting him and his wife and 3 children. He's 44 years old. His mom kicked him out, but let his wife and kids stay. His wife divorced him. I divorced my wife. Now he's living in his car. I'm not even upset about it. Duck my wife. Duck your life. Amazing, his mom let his wife stay. I'm a big fan of this theory, as I believe a lot of major incidents can be traced back to one defining choice or action. A bad one that jumps out to the front of my brain. I was studying in college, pre-university, in the UK. When a classmate suggested I joined a sort of social networking website dedicated to meeting people who will be going to the same university as you. I joined and became friends with a really lovely girl. We got talking and everything about her ticked all the right boxes, or at least to 19-year-old me. Fast forward a few months. We are both at uni and dating. We have our ups and downs, but they were very extreme ups and downs. I hated my course I was on, product design, and applied to another university to study architecture, something I always wanted to do, but I stupidly got cold feet as it meant I would have to move away and I didn't want to leave her, so I rejected their offer. We broke up shortly after and had a very messy and public breakup, along with having to see her get with her friend that I sort of knew had a thing for her. Along with rumors going round that I hit her, which I didn't. So I'm 99. 99% if I never had that conversation with my classmate. I wouldn't have joined that website. I wouldn't have met my ex. I would have gone to a different university and my life would be very different right now. That's mad. Had a flight booked to Bangkok, Thailand, from Canada. En route to the airport, decided I wanted to leave big cities for some sun and beaches. Booked a flight to Phuket before departure and upon arrival took a ferry to Koh Phi Phi. Met this beautiful girl the next morning and had a deep conversation, never thought I'd see her again as she was leaving. Ran into her before she left the island to find out she was staying for another night by herself. Fell in love and were still together 3 years later. Never expected that. Told my older sister and her friend that I can predict the future, as a joke. They thought it would be fun to know their future. I predicted for my sister's friend that she will lose a lot of weight, she was obese, and that she will ditch her boyfriend because she will think she can do better now and then marry a British guy. She's Lebanese and never been to Britain. Told my sister that she will immigrate to Canada. Meet a guy whose family used to live in our hometown and then they will get married. Fast forward few years. My sister's friend did a gastric bypass surgery and lost a lot of weight. Dumped her boyfriend and met a British guy teaching in the same school she's in, then got married. My sister applied to Canada and got the immigration. Met a guy whose family lived in the same hometown as we used to and then they got married. To this day I wonder if I did predict the future or if it was just an effect of what I said to them. Edit. Not a bad butterfly effect, but I thought it's worth sharing. I remember a couple years back you told me I'd make millions. Can't wait. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please support the robot revolution by smashing the like button and subscribing to the channel.